right, everybody, I'm going to start. We're doing some, doing a little bit of tech stuff as we speak. But I hope our picture is nice and clear. We stepped up our Zoom game. We have Dilmas and Krishna here in our house in Peranan in Chaiwan, Bali. And yeah, we should have like really good resolution. And one of our New Year's resolutions to bring you higher resolution. So I want to tell you about what we're doing today's Zoom. And by the way, let me start with the intention. This is our third Zoom call for the Blissology project. It's just a chance for us to talk interactively about the content, to see how things are being processed and digested, and actually answer questions in real time. So we're constantly looking at all your comments and inspired by them. And so yeah, that's what our intention is. And just to give you a little bit of the run of the show is we're going to do the yoga every other week. We've been doing yoga at the beginning, but we'll end with a little bit of yoga and meditation. So at 9:45 our time, which I'm not sure, just basically, I'm not sure what time zone you're on, obviously, but that'll be about 40 minutes from now. We'll do yoga. And before we do that, we're going to start off with something fun called AMA, Ask Me Anything. So people posted comments, so I'll answer some questions there. I want to talk about nature appreciation and some comments about that. Insiya, of course, is going to release her recipes today, and we can share our thoughts about food. The food has been a big part of it. A lot of people have been talking about, well, I didn't know the Blissology project incorporated so much food. But just to come back to Blissology project intentions, if you think of like puzzle pieces, one of the things I realized is yoga, asana is amazing, but it's just one piece of the puzzle. If you can link yoga asana with meditation, with another piece of the puzzle called nature appreciation, with another puzzle piece called food awareness, which is high prana food, and gratitude, bam, we've turned something like from a firecracker to an atomic bomb by doing all these things together. And I'm seeing it in your comments. So I want to talk about the AMA stuff first, as Insiya is doing a little technical thing in the background. Okay, first of all, hang on, I'm going to show you show and tell. Brand new surfboard, still never used because we've had a lot of wind here in Bali. Actually, right now, at this very second, there's actually wind. This is no wind, which means I can surf, but I'm here on Zoom with you. Check it out, new surfboard. And I want to relate this to EcoKarma. Because we've been doing nature appreciation, of course, taking 10 minutes and getting quiet in nature every day. And I sent out one of the emails last week, Sandra Ratson's comment, and lots of people made very intelligent comments about nature appreciation. But she was talking about how her keyword when she goes deep in, well, first of all, she started off saying that, and this has to do with our last week's Zoom call, what Riley was saying is like, I was overthinking this. I thought I had to go like somewhere really special in the wilderness. And she was saying that wilderness is not the same as nature. We are part of nature. There's actually not a lot of wilderness left. And that's the whole point of nature appreciation. It's even if it's a plant in your back deck, to really make sure that you take time and feel connected to that. And then that's a big part of our EcoKarma mission too. What Sandra was saying in that Facebook post after that was that then she started to feel reciprocity. She tries to teach her children reciprocity, reciprocal relationship, and that means that when you feel more connected to something, I'm putting words in her mouth, but when you feel more connected to something, then you want to make it a reciprocal relationship. And so you probably can't read this on my surfboard, but the EcoKarma mission says revere, respect, protect. Revere, respect, protect. And so many years ago, we started the EcoKarma Foundation because we were doing retreats in beautiful places like in Bali, whatever, but the ocean was filled with plastic bags, the coral was dying, and I was thinking, why are we doing yoga in the morning, meditation, talking about how connected we are to nature, and then going and get our fingernails painted and massages, and then going back and doing more yoga And we're just revering nature, but we're not doing anything to actually protect it. So we started doing EcoKarma retreats where we transplant coral in the ocean. And my goal was last year to work more in with trees, but then COVID hit and we weren't allowed to bring big groups together. But the key point is that in small ways, the whole point of nature appreciation, which we've all felt, is that you feel more calm. Like, you know, nature appreciation works when you're feeling more calm, when you're feeling more connected to the outer world. And that's step one. Step two is hopefully when you do that, then you feel a calling inside of you to take more care of nature and the outer world. And that's a big part of Blissology and the Blissology project as well. So I just wanted to share that kind of EcoKarma thing and just the extension of nature appreciation, that you don't just want to revere nature, but you want to really deepen your resolve to protect it. Okay, so we're going to leave that aside and we'll come back to the surfing thing. We got Insiya back.
Yeah, back from tech support.
Back from tech support. And I want to relate the surfing part to a AMA, Ask Me Anything. Catherine put up this question. And her question specifically is, how could you share with us the previous wildcards in the other editions of the Blissology project? And also, are you afraid of sharks when you surf? Thanks for your generosity, Catherine. Okay. The other ones, I don't know. I can't even remember, to be honest with you. But we got some. Just know for this Blissology project, we still have a bunch of good ones. And actually, you want Insiya will refresh you in case you missed the emails and the notifications, and even in the Teachable, what this week's. And we made a little video about it. But can you refresh everyone what this week's wildcard is?
So this week's wildcard, and you probably know this, but for those of you who don't, is to write a letter to someone who you're thinking about. And we really mean, like, sit down, put a pen or pencil to paper, put that letter in an envelope, mail it. And the idea behind the exercise really is to contrast the slowness and the thoughtfulness of letter writing with the way most of us live our days, including us right here. We're constantly rushing around, and when we think of someone, we send them a text message or a WhatsApp or an email or whatever it might be. And instead of that quickness and that feeling of constantly being in this place of fast, gotta do it now, gotta finish it, to actually give yourself some time for introspection and allowing, I think in that process of writing a letter, you have a little more clarity of thought because you are allowing yourself a gift of the time that you need to actually sit down and let something move through you. Which, by the way, is what we're doing through every single thing that we're practicing right now in the Blissology project.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's become clear to me, is that we're trying to do, I mentioned even with the videos, not just us in our pajamas doing Zoom call videos, but we want to really do high production quality, like it's about anti-disposable things. And I made a post that a lot of people commented on, that gratitude is a big part of the Blissology project, but what gratitude is saying is that people aren't disposable, people aren't transactional, nature isn't disposable, and let's really stop and appreciate it. And just taking that time to write a letter is super important. Last week's one was amazing too, the saying grace, and thank you everybody who posted about this. And do you want to say something about how when we post things, and see, it's not just for you, like, remember Nancy's comments about the nature appreciation?
Yeah, I think it's, I'm feeling that too, and I hope you are as well. When we read these comments that people are posting up, it's inspiring. And it's inspiring to all of us in this together, and hopefully even to those we're in contact with, because we're just making these, we're just shifting things a little bit, and we're starting to look at things a little differently, and maybe trying things on that we haven't before. or maybe it is something that is quite familiar to you and it's part of your practice already, but you're sharing it. You know, you do have that walk every morning, perhaps with your dog, but now you're noticing, you're taking a little more time to stop and slow down and maybe look at the sky, or on your run, or whatever it is that you're doing. And the fact that it's lighting you up is lighting other people up too. You know, it's like one of the things we talk about a lot in Blissology is happiness is best when shared. And it's really that thing. It's like, don't hold your happiness in, especially right now. I think at this time where we are living in this place of so much fear for so many of us. And I'll just share too, like we had an interesting weekend. Our son had a bunch of kids around him and had a play date and 2 sleepovers, consecutive nights, which is something we don't normally do. And then boom, he woke up on the Monday morning and felt really sick. And normally in another time of life, or another time, let's just say, I wouldn't be worried about that. I would just go, okay, I was just gonna move through him. He's a kid, he bounces back. But right now, with everything that's going on, even here in Bali, you know, your mind immediately goes, or my mind immediately went to, oh, what if it is the thing, this virus that's going around? And so, you know, there's a part of you that's constantly contracted and isn't wanting to open up, you know, and share. And so I think, and anyhow, long story short, he was fine. He had a mild fever that kind of spiked yesterday, and then woke up this morning totally fine. So I went through this, the full kind of emotional roller coaster of, oh my God, what if, and what have we done, and we've exposed him to other kids, and this is right, and you know, all the stuff that you kind of second guess yourself with all the time. And I thought about that in the context of what we're doing, and I think it's really important right now more than ever to just share the small blessings of life, you know, with others, because people are going through stuff, and we are experiencing these constant vacillations and these constant ups and downs right now, and I think it's more intense than it ever was before on so many levels, you know, not just health. So our point with all of that is, I think it's so beautiful in this community. And actually, on that note, I encourage you to share the stuff that's not going right either, you know, so we can support it and we can work through it, and we can and sometimes
stuff doesn't go right all the time.
You're right. You want to speak behind the scenes?
Yeah, it's not just rainbows and unicorns. What?
So, you know, so feel free, like, open up to that as well, because I know just for me, just speaking about this is kind of like, it gives me a little sense of relief. It's like, oh yeah, we should be talking about this stuff. We are all going through this. Yeah. You know?
So let's talk about the comment exactly though, was Nancy Cameron, remember, she said, I didn't have time to get out of nature, or you know, my day got away with me, so I actually looked at other people's pictures and comments about nature appreciation to feel inspired. And that's when it really hit us of like I mentioned last week's call, in Buddhism you have the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, that you actually need a community to help you to stay committed. And these commitments are super simple: yoga, meditation, food awareness, nature appreciation, and gratitude are like, take just a couple of minutes really every day, but if you stick with them, they have such an important impact. And that leads me to a question. Ashley is going to be our monitor right now, although actually we do have a better monitor so we can see people's questions. But here's a question for you in real time, okay? Something I've been thinking about in my own life. You ready? Here's a question for you. When you don't practice your nature appreciation, that almost sounds too hard to practice. When you don't take that 10 minutes to sit down and calm your nervous system and be quiet and take in the beauty of nature, do you notice that your day goes differently? Because I'll be honest with you, there's been a couple of days, like yesterday we had a full travel day. We were filming, and I was like, oh, I gotta get out and do my nature appreciation moment. Then it started raining. Then we had dinner, and I had to go pick up some things at a drugstore. I didn't get my nature appreciation moment. And what I noticed is, well, can I say it this way? I don't like myself as much on the days I don't practice nature appreciation. And so I don't know, I'm just wondering if you find the same thing. So the question is, do you notice that you are different on the days where you don't practice nature appreciation? And if so, how? Say one more time. Do you notice that you feel different on the days you don't practice nature appreciation? And if so, how? So if you want to put those up in the comments, then we'll get Ashley to send us one of those, and we'll riff on that in a second. So aside from that, I want to tell you about a couple other things. I keep grabbing the wrong.
Yeah, someone, Lisa Happel, just commented saying, otherwise you feel dead inside in days when you don't see the sky and the weather.
You can read it from here. It was like an eye exam.
And also Stuart said, the nature days feel more valuable.
Nature days feel more valuable.
I feel depleted when I don't go outside. Absolutely, I always feel sleepy and tired and I don't take the time to go outside.
Wow, flooding with comments. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll come back to those, and you can always read them in the chat afterwards, and we'll share them all. But yeah, just let us know. It's a great conversation to really tune into how I notice do you notice a difference?
No, totally. Yeah.
Versus, we can ask the question a different way. When you do take 10 minutes to just get quiet in nature, no talking, silence, nervous system goes into parasympathetic tone, and just download the transmission of the beautiful, relax, breathe, observe, receive. How do you feel then?
Yeah.
Let's move on to a different topic. Insiya mentioned before about getting real, like talking about things being real. And last Zoom call, I made a request to not just give us compliments about the videos, but to actually say like, like we love the compliments, thank you. But like to say like, this is what I was actually truly going through. And Taisha was saying last week, actually this week, I noticed her comments from yesterday in relationship, I think, to the Eye of the Storm meditation. I'm not sure. Yeah, 8 hours ago would have been yesterday. Or maybe it was the ocean pulsation. I'm not sure. Anyway, she said, it was amazing to feel the oxygen in my body and really acknowledge the process of air flowing in and out of my body. I was able to sit calmly without any thoughts, and that was so pleasant. I unfortunately skipped the last 2 meditations, and it felt amazing to get back. All right, so that's a great comment. Thanks, Taisha, for sharing that. And now, getting real. I'm going to open up a topic, and we'll get Insiya to address this in a second. But this is her comment from 6 days ago, and maybe Insiya, when I'm done, maybe give me your feedback on this. So 6 days ago, again, getting real. And the point is that some days meditations come easily, and some days they don't. In fact, actually I have this one if you want to read it afterwards, this book, right? And 6 days ago, exact same person, Taisha, said, I'm doing meditation before work, and I find that some days it's easier to focus than others. Today was hard, as I thought that I need to get this done before a meeting, and that meeting is going to be a hard one. It of course affected the quality of the meditation. It's very challenging to concentrate on meditation and try and let go of work thoughts, in quotation marks. However, the main thing for me was the reminder to sprinkle love on everything, and I think even over Zoom we can transfer energy. So that's true. Let's all sprinkle love right now. Just all of us sprinkle love out there, throw it around. I don't know, we're kind of new age freaks. It's all good. If you weren't a hippie before, you are now. And that's part of the getting real thing. I mean, that's what I'm saying is like, there's plenty of days where I sit down and meditate and it's hard. And there's some days where it just drops in. And actually what I did notice is when I made the process more somatic, meaning more body-based, it became so easy. When I tried to still my mind with my mind, it was very hard. But I do notice that sticking with it makes it easier. I remember dropping in to meditation used to be much harder. And so those days that Taisha's talking about, are less for me. But I think what also helps too is to feel the energy. I really feel that, like in our Commit to Bliss course, we talk about so much, like, are we just a brain, nervous system, and muscles, or is there an energy that flows through us?
Yeah.
And I feel like the concept of mindfulness, just me stilling my mind, and that's the point. But if we just made meditation more about feeling the energy that we made of, or that we're made of, more of the feelings that we're made of, and try and guide that towards peace and a calm frequency, then it'd be so much easier for people. Anyway, the point is that some days it comes easily and some days it doesn't. And so just related to that, I also saved on my phone here.
I think that's really natural, and I think, you know, and I think it's a different process to add to that for everyone,
Yeah.
because meditation's still hard for me.
Yeah.
I have to work really hard to sit down and not even to sit down, just to still and to not be pulled in so many directions. And what works for me is really thinking about the idea of kind of coming back into your center, because there's so much in life that is constantly tugging and pulling at you, and you know, it doesn't really, it depends on, obviously, on what your life is like, but if you do more than one thing, you're being tugged in different directions constantly, and we live in an age where that is so prevalent. And I know that I wear many hats and I'm always being pulled in so many directions, and so I almost think of it as meditation as this process of pulling those pieces of me that are being scattered around back constantly into myself, you know, and the yoga and the meditation kind of work really complementarily in that way. So that's kind of my metaphor, I guess, of meditating. It's like, as long as I can just
gathering back the scattered
gathering back, so I feel full again, and kind of resting in myself again, if you will, you know.
So nice to see all the comments popping up.
Yeah. So here's the one. Again, this is from Sally Warner, and it was from that piece that we talked about, the yoga practice as a mirror. Some days it's so easy to feel bliss through yoga. From the first few deep breaths, I'm focused and feeling the love. But some days it's so hard to get into that space. My mind just won't cooperate with slowing down. My feelings before yoga practice today were hurried, worried, and short on time. It wasn't until a supine leg stretch near the end of practice that I finally had a glimpse of that blissful feeling. I guess that's how it works. Some days the bliss comes easy, other days it's much more elusive. Some days we get to feast on the love that comes to us through yoga. Other days we only get a spoonful of that love.
That's so beautiful.
But even a spoonful is better than none at all. Today I'm grateful for that spoonful of bliss and love. It will help me get through the rest of the day with a little more peace and patience.
That we should all put on the wall. That's such a beautiful reminder. Like,
spoonful of bliss.
For another analogy, some days I get a feast, and some days I get a spoonful, and even a spoonful makes you feel that little bit better. So I mean, that's just it. You have to realize that from your yoga, from your meditation, even from nature appreciation, whatever, some days just get that download. Like, wow, what just happened is transformational, and some days it's a little bit more mild of a dose. But even that mild dose is helpful, and so lower the bar, and as long as you feel better, that's amazing. I feel like other people make comments about like the game changer, like, oh, I have to have my mind perfectly still, and if I don't get that perfectly still mind, I'm some kind of failure. Yeah. But if you just move the needle a little bit more in that direction, then and what you're doing specifically, as you lower the bar, is just kind of automatically easing some of that tension and some of that acuteness of, oh, it has to be this way. And the more you kind of, you know, nudge that out of you and seep it out of you, the more open you are to becoming more connected to energy, to prana, to life force. So it's kind of this really interesting thing. It's like we're trying to calm the mind, but almost by tricking ourselves a little bit. Hey, it's not such a big deal. When it's not such a big deal, we're more apt to do it. And this is really
key also with creating new habits. If we don't see them as insurmountable, we're more likely to stick with them. We're more likely to make small, consistent changes to create a new habit than we are to go run, 10 miles one day and then not be able to walk for the next 3 days because we haven't been running, or whatever that is in your life.
Cool, so Ashley's just texting in some of the comments that we can bring up, and then after we go through these, we'll get into the food section, and then we'll do our yoga practice. Okay, so another one from Sally Warner. I wouldn't say, this is in relationship to what happens when you don't practice nature appreciation. You want to do this?
Sure. I wouldn't say it's a day-by-day thing necessarily, but over the course of time, if I'm not getting outside to get some time in nature on a regular basis, it builds up negativity. And actually this comment feeds into a lot of the other comments. It's pretty similar. There were a lot of things like, I get irritable, or I'm not able to be my best self with my partner who really needs me to be there, and things like that. So it really, there's definitely a thread in the comments that I'm noticing.
Sure, thanks for sending these, by the way, Ashley. They're helpful, because otherwise we're squinting at the screen. So sorry for reading off our iPhone, but I think it's working out. Just know I'm not on Instagram right now. So Nicole B says, when I don't take time in nature, I am less focused, less productive, and more prone to procrastination and self-doubt.
Wow.
Okay, that we gotta pause and chew on. So I'm less productive when I don't take 10 minutes to get in nature, and less focused. I mean, it is amazing to me that our corporations don't have like big fields where people can just go sit and not have to talk to anybody and sit under a tree and just truly restore
Not
your
fields,
forest, whatever, fields, forest, whatever, a tree. Where you don't have to talk to anybody, you can just recharge under a tree. I mean, you've probably seen the cartoon of someone lying under the sky, and it said, and they put their phone away, and they said that I usually recharge my phone, but now the sky is recharging me. And we don't really get that recharge. We don't honor it so much. Actually, I feel like the biggest problem with not the biggest problem, but a big problem of modern culture is that we value productivity over anything. And again, I keep mentioning our nervous systems are in burnout because of this. And so if we were basketball players, the way we work all day, it's like trying to play the whole game. And every basketball player has to take, a quarter of the game and sit on the bench. And we're not really good at sitting on the bench. In fact, we're like anti-productive when we do that, and it's killing us. And it's killing the planet for exactly the reasons that we're talking about with Sandra's comment of like, we actually don't feel as connected to the planet anymore. What we value is productivity, and we're not taking the time to fall in love with the planet anymore. We could go deeper in this, but we're getting into our hammock enlightenment here.
Yeah, but I will add, it made me actually, it sparked some thoughts for me, and I wanted to mention that there's a lot that has gone wrong, or a lot of injustice in our collective global history as time went on. But one of the things that was a trend, I'd say kind of in the 19th century and the 18th century as well, was this idea of naturism and naturalism, of being out in nature. And that was where the idea of city parks really emerged from. And if you look at some of the great city parks like Hyde Park in Toronto and Central Park in New York, the idea of these parks was to create an environment where people living in this urban density could go and escape it, and could go and, just be and sit under a tree and commune, if you will, with nature. And if you look at the original landscaping,
can you imagine New York with no Central Park?
I know, and you think about how much valuable real estate Central Park takes up, and then you think about how quickly these cities developed, and how that same sensibility of open green spaces and the importance of them wasn't actually carried through as we develop into this culture of living in high rises and you know, eating on the go and constantly living completely devoid of any connection to the cycles of nature. But that's really where these ideas of the City Parks Group came from. And you know, we're pretty fortunate in the Western world that you still have those open spaces. In so many parts of the world, you don't have them. You don't have a lot of it in Bali. We definitely didn't have any more of it in India, or the parts of it growing up in, for example, in Bombay, the city I grew up in. There's, you know, the percentage of open space to the population is, I don't even know. It's like, microscopic probably now. So think about growing up in places where there's that much of a crush of people and density, and you never have this sense of the exhale, which you get when you're in nature.
Yeah.
You know?
So yeah, that 10 minutes you get in nature is actually a return on investment. It makes you more productive. Okay, so moving on to a different topic on the AMA, and just so you know this, then we're going to move on to the food section of this talk, of the Zoom call. So look, if you have any questions about food while Insiya is here, start putting them up in the comments now and let me know. Obviously, we can't get to everyone's comments, but again, one of our intentions is to get you can start to have like micro discussions, you know, on our Facebook group or on our Teachable if you want to continue in these threads, or in your journals, or even with your families and friends back home. So one of our jobs, what I want to say there is to just get you asking yourself questions that you can chew on some some nutritious thoughts. Okay, so Ashley sent this one in, I guess is under AMA, Ask Me Anything. So Robin Thorstensen said, I'm really enjoying the music, particularly from the meditations, but from the yoga practices too. Can you share a playlist with the music that you've included in the program? I would love to have the background music to extend the meditations. That's nice. For a couple of reasons. One, I love the idea that you want to extend the meditations. I mean, that's a great thing because that's one of my goals of yoga, of meditation. I think I prefaced it in our videos initially, is that, or it's actually in the book, sorry, in this little book that we have here. If you haven't printed up a copy, make sure you do. But what I was saying about the meditation in particular is that I don't need to have a timer for meditation. In fact, here, let me just see. It said, meditation is a joy and not just a chore. Let's contrast how you feel saying, I'm going to meditate now, with this statement, I'm going to chill in a hot tub for a little bit. Like, you don't need a timer when you're in a hot tub. You just kind of sink in. And actually, if someone goes, sorry, your 10 minutes is up, you're actually, oh man, can I stay for 10 more? And that's one of my goals through this meditation practice, is to like give you like, okay, it's only 10 minutes, so at least you can commit to that. Everyone has 10 extra minutes. Yeah. But at the end, I want you to feel that, do I have to stop? As opposed to like, oh my God, 3 more minutes of this timer, counting my breath. And so I'm really honored by this question. I'll leave that aside and just come back to the music part. Also, super thrilled because we had a conversation beforehand actually with John, who's giving us some technical advice on Blissology in general. So I basically had to take a week or more of my life, 10 days, to do music licensing, pay like thousands of dollars to organize all this music. And we had a big internal conversation, should we do it? But I personally really like the right type of meditation music and for yoga as well. I hate the wrong type if it's too busy and too rajasic. But if it's calming, it's beautiful. It really helps me to drop in. So yeah, we can, short story is, I want to do it. Short story is I want to do it. I have a to-do list this long. And I will, I do have some of the files, because I put them together and sent them to an editor, and I could probably put a Dropbox links
to some of the music?
To the music itself, but I do want to credit the musicians. I did make sure that we credit the musicians, because I'm really big, by the way, if you ever I think it's important to credit all people for their work. Yoga teachers, photographers, musicians, and so I just didn't write down the names, but I could probably work on that. Maybe I could actually see if we can help you with that. Anyway, but we'll work on it, I promise you. But definitely, it wouldn't be hard for me to put up that music so you can keep it going, and that'd be great. Okay, so Ashley said some food questions came in, so we got like 6 or 7
on food.
Yeah, a lot of comments on food. Will Insiya be offering her recipe? Oh, Sarah Broman. Will Insiya be offering up her recipe on avocado mousse? Ooh.
I could include that one, Sarah. Yeah, it's a good one. It's funny when it hasn't been avocado season in Bali right now. So
we get avocados, but they go brown.
They're either unripe or they're super brown. So I haven't been making it a lot, but I'll see what I can dig up. But it's actually a great question because I was looking a lot at the food comments this week.
Tell them what's in avocado mousse because it's actually super easy. I can even make it. I guess 3 ingredients.
You can make things. You just choose not to.
No, I make avocado. I make it. Did she just say it's not avocado season? If it was avocado season, I'd be making avocado mousse left, right, and center.
No, so actually, it's a great. I'll get into what's in it, but it's a great question because I was reading a lot of the food comments and thinking about what sort of food are we, what is this whole thing of high prana food? And one of the words that kept coming back to me is the idea of inclusivity with food, because we live in this world right now where there are so many food trends and there are so many different ways of dissecting and defining who you are by what you eat and how you eat, right? So everyone's so it's interesting, like in the bubble of the yoga world, especially with teacher trainings and retreats where we're in contact with students and people in the community for a consistent amount of time and intensely for days, you really see, oh, this is how people eat, and people become very attached to how they eat and what they eat because you kind of buy into this psyche, if you will, and this ideology. Like food has become ideology now, and we all have our various reasons for eating in a particular way because.
So you're trying to say that food divides rather than unites?
Yeah, exactly. It can.
Like politics.
Food can divide, and people become very vehement in their. I'm vegan, and this is why I'm vegan, and I'm paleo, and this is why I'm paleo, or whatever it is that you're into. And I think it was I forget the name of the author. There was a wonderful book called a cookbook that I liked called I think it was called At My Table or something like that. And the idea of the book was that these were recipes that really anyone could eat, and you could share them and come together at the table to eat this food, whether you ate a particular way or not. And so that's really what I try to offer with the recipes is, yes, maybe some of them are different for you, or maybe for some of you it's like, well, no, this is not really paleo food. But if you think about food as a way of sharing community and sharing yourself, and also getting nutrition into your body in a way that's guided by your taste buds, hopefully you've been getting that through the recipe. So there's no ideology behind the food. It's really the idea of the recipes I'm offering up, and this idea of high prana food is it's food that's clean, that's simple, that's ideally doesn't take you a really long time to cook and to make. And it helps. The one thing I will say is I definitely draw from my background in Ayurveda, and Ayurveda is all about helping us to digest life more easily. And when you think about the gut, your gut is a place where you really make medicine for your body, and we want to make sure that your gut is healing you well, and it's allowing what you're taking in to be absorbed well by your tissues, and then you're able to feel vital and happy and alive, right? So basically, on that note, this week's recipes, I'm just going to include some really some fun ones that I really love. There's a granola that you can make with popped amaranth, but you could substitute it with like quinoa flakes or oat flakes if you don't have an issue with gluten. So all the recipes are kind of easy to substitute. And I'll include my chai that I really like. It's a wonderful spicy chai that you can start making from home, so you don't have to go to Starbucks and get the overly sweet chai from there. And there's always a balance of spices, and that's something at some point I'll explore more in an Ayurvedic cooking course, but we always want a balance of the taste, so there's sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, and astringent. So we're always trying to include these flavors in our food so that our body feels satiated and happy when we eat in that way. And I love this idea of taste being your guidance and offering us the ability to enjoy and to savor and to feel really nourished. And our taste buds, by the way, are the first kind of line into your digestive system. The minute you start to, when you start to smell something that you're cooking, like a soup in a pot on the stove, and you start to smell it and you smell the aroma, that's giving your digestive system a little nudge saying, hey, start making the digestive enzymes so you can start to digest and get ready for this yummy food that you're preparing and that you're eating.
That's why when you don't think you're hungry, you smell the food. It's like,
and so make your cooking and your eating a really sensual experience, meaning that you taste your food with all your senses. Yeah.
But make everything sensual. That's the whole point. We've I was talking about we're filming for our somatics and sequencing course, and we practice something called embodiment, which means that there's a harmony between your mind and your body, and it's not your mind, it's mind within matter, not mind over matter. And we were practicing with one of our Blissology teachers, Kat, yesterday in Uluwatu, and even the way we do yoga, some people do yoga and with their hands, it's very robotic. And you can totally, and that's what's great about the super flow, when you move your hands differently, you can try moving your hands like this now, and something happens, you open up your senses when your hands move differently, that you start to feel the air and you express something. And so food, like what we're asking for, is meditate more sensually. Like I was asking Insiya just yesterday at breakfast, going, should we call what we're doing like sensual yoga? Is that word been too sexualized? I'm not sure, but since it just means literally, we need that word sensual has been co-opted, but we kind of got to bring it back and make it a less dirty word, because it just means that you're eating with your senses, you are talking to people with your senses, you are doing yoga, feeling your senses, meditate, feeling your senses. Even, one thing I've been thinking about, I told you about snails, is when I do my meditation in nature or just sit in nature, I think about antennae coming out from my heart and feeling like literally sensing out there in nature. So yeah, as a culture, we have to learn to come to our senses, to get out of our head and into the beautiful gifts of the sensual all the time.
Totally. So
for the sake of time, Ashley's been asking something, and we're not going to have time to answer it now. But it's something we talked about in the first Zoom call. Are you there, Ashley? Maybe you can unmute yourself. She wants to talk about the economics of food. And also, we're not going to let Insiya off the hook without telling us what's in our avocado mousse.
Oh yeah.
But we're just going to be able to listen to Ashley's question. It's too big of a topic to get to. But go ahead, Ashley, if you're there. You want to ask us?
Yeah, I mean, it's less of a question, more of a statement. Got me thinking what Insiya said. one of the goals of her recipes was inclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
So I just mentioned the fact that like there are places in even our Western nations, I mean Canada, I know a lot exist here as well as in the US, of what we call food deserts. So places where people don't have access to good fresh food. And then and sometimes that's socio-economical, sometimes it's not. But there is also a big socio-economical factor to food. Like, it would be probably a fairly safe assumption for me to assume that if you're buying the Blissology project, you can probably buy an avocado. But there's a lot of people who would not eat avocados because they just simply can't afford them. So it just kind of brought that up for me, and I think that's a really good aim, Insiya, in when you look at your food, is just keeping that in mind, which we know you do, and just kind of nice for us to think about too that we're sharing all these food pictures, and it's incredible that so far everybody who has shared, and that might not be the case for everybody on this call, but so far everybody who's shared their pictures of food has access to good food.
Can I speak of this for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just speaking this for a second is a great point, Ashley, and we did bring it up in one of the Zoom calls, and I don't know if the post got as far as we should be having this conversation about how to make organic food more economic. It's a great topic. It'd be interesting to look at some of the recipes that you're doing and just put a dollar value on it, because, like, I mean, you know, this might be a stretch for a lot of people, I get it, but avocado is what, $4, $5, and then the chocolate and honey?
Honey or maple syrup or, whatever.
I mean, that might be one of the more expensive ones. Like, how much would a chia pudding cost?
Depends where you live.
Chia seeds, if you buy them in bulk, and then if you make your own almond milk, so maybe chia pudding, I think, for like...
Almonds are definitely expensive.
But I think a chia pudding for 4 people would be around $5 to $6.
For the whole thing?
Yeah.
For the whole thing.
But it's a really important point, and actually, you know, this is something I'm interested in as well, is just...
$5 to $6 for a chia pudding?
But you could buy it at a...
And how much is an apple pie?
But you would go into a fancy coffee shop and you would buy one chia pudding for maybe $6 or maybe even $8, right? So it's all in the marketing of it. And I did want to mention that actually there's a big movement around the food deserts in California in particular, and there was someone, I remember reading this and thinking this was such a great idea. There was somebody who was taking a truck of fresh produce from farms and getting all the bodegas, which are like the little corner stores in all the Latina neighborhoods in Los Angeles and around San Francisco and stuff, and just getting fresh produce into the bodegas and into the hands of people. And so much of it has to do with access. And so much of this conversation has to do with systems and this whole idea of industrialized processed food, which is something we are all dealing with. We're all dealing with the outfall of industrialized processed food. This is the culture that we live in, where it's so easy to go into a grocery store and buy something that's frozen and prepackaged, and it'll take no time at all. And even health food brands are doing this. It's not just the conventional food brands, right? The whole, when the emphasis is on convenience and productivity in our life at all costs, we fall trap to this. And so I think it's a big conversation. We don't have the time.
It's a huge conversation. It's a massive conversation. But it's really good that you brought it up. And again, we can come back to this next week and we can start to have conversations.
And I'll just put it out there, if anybody is working or on something like this, please reach out, because I would love to be part of something that helps bring access and education around healthy, inexpensive food to places that are food deserts. I think that's huge, huge, huge. And I think children are a great gateway in, so maybe it's about bringing programming like this into schools, because if children learn how to eat and understand how they eat impacts how they feel and how they anyhow, this is a big conversation, but I'll just put it out there. If anyone is working on something like this, please reach out to me because I'd love to be part of it.
I'm sure people are. And again, massive topic. And again, thanks for bringing it up. And I just wish I had more time to address it in this call, but we will next and again in our comments this week. We should keep the conversation going. And also, it's important as we think of inclusivity, Blissology, like Albert Einstein said, is like continuously widening your circles. So it's not just about me, it's about my family, it's about my friends, it's about my community, it's about nature. Like, how can I actually include them and not just build a gate between me and them? And I think it's great that Ashley brought it to that level. Like, great, I'm eating avocado and chia pudding, but what about the people down the street from me or across on the other side of the city? And that's a very important topic, but when we go to Oregon, Southern Oregon, it amazes me. One year when we were driving to California, where we were moving to, and we were on all these farmers' fields, and we stopped to get lunch, and it was all processed, industrial, standard American diet food, and they're growing food everywhere. I'm like, talk about, you're in a food desert in a place that has one of the most fertile climates on the planet. It's ridiculous, but we can't go too far down that. But I think one thing I would like to see is that we reclaim the term redneck. Many years ago, I went to Red Deer, Alberta, which, if you don't know, is like, it's like north of Calgary in Alberta, the Rockies, very high elevation, cold. But we have a student, Mike, who does organic farming there, and I was teaching. And afterwards, he said, do you want to come out to the farm and help me do organic farming? And I'm like, yeah, as much as I love organic food, I actually don't do that much work in an organic farm. And so I went out with him, and we were pulling weeds and planting things. And it was all the things that we practice in Blissology Project. Yoga, meditation, it was very meditative to pull these weeds. Gratitude, I was so grateful for that food, especially when we ate it that night, the food appreciation, nature appreciation was part of it. And it was all connected in one unit. Incidentally, at the end of the day, I had a sunburn on the back of my neck. And I was like, oh my God, this is where we get the term redneck from. They're not people working in offices and white collars, but they're people actually out in the fields getting the back of their necks burnt red. And I realized that we got to reclaim the term redneck. We have to reclaim the term redneck, and we need more of our kids in the schools out. Like, they got to grow their food. Forget getting sodas from the vending machines. Like, if a kid goes all 12 grades and hasn't grown their own food, have we really educated them? Like, we really got to get them out in the fields getting their hands dirty. Our son goes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I think you heard him talk about it. Like, he's actually grown rice that we eat, and it's pennies, when you start to grow your own food. But we're actually, one of the things we can do is get people reconnected to the growing of their own food. It's ridiculous that no matter what economic class you're from, that you don't have lettuce growing in your windowsills. It's ridiculous, speaking of high farm foods. It's just not a concept that's out there for people, and we need to get people connected into their gardens more. I mean, it's a huge topic, but there's many other ways. I mean, there's a political movement that has to happen around it. There's an educational movement that has to happen.
And it's happening. It's like a sprinkle still. It's not a shower.
Because a sprinkle is not a shower. And also it's just
there's some amazing projects happening.
To just what you just said, back to Insiya's point of I look at chia seed and I go to the Whole Foods, I'm like, oh my God, it's $6 for a chia seed pudding. Who can afford that? And you're like, actually, it's $6 to feed a family of 5. And okay, that might be out of a lot of people's their economic means, but I would like to know, it has been a long time. Can someone tell me out there, how much does it cost to buy 5 apple pies at McDonald's for dessert? I mean, can you get cheaper food than McDonald's? How much for 5? They gotta be $1 each. Do you know? It's been a long time since I stepped into McDonald's. Anyway, we gotta finish up. We're gonna do a little bit of yoga to finish up with. So we just got only 5 minutes. So as Bob Marley says, get up, stand up, and we'll just do a nice forward fold. Do you want to do this real quick? Forward fold?
Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead. It's just going to lead you through some standing forward fold. I'm going to do it too. I'm just standing up the whole time. I need to fold over.
Okay, so find a spot to stand on, the rug, the floor, whatever it is. Shake your hands out. Shake your head a little bit. Flutter your lips. It's all good. You're in your living room and you're on mute.
Yeah, that's true.
And then just bend your knees quite deeply. And let your hands get really heavy. Let the head get heavy. Let the torso get heavy. And let the upper body hug in closer to your thighs, to your lower body. And if your knees are really deeply bent, see if you can activate your feet a little bit. Maybe rock forward and back. And I'm placing the backs of my hands on the floor right now. Just a little different to release the wrists a little bit. And I'm kind of massaging the wrists as I move forward and back. And tune into your breath. Exhale all breath out wherever you are. And as you breathe in new life, new prana. Feel the spine lengthen. And as you exhale, maybe straighten the legs just a little bit if it works for you. Inhale, bend the knees, lift the heart, come onto your fingertips now. As you exhale, bow and fold. Inhale just like that, bend the knees, lift the heart, let the crown of your head brighten. As you exhale, bow and fold. This time hold on to your elbows and just sway from side to side. Let go of something and draw in something. Let your inhales follow the exhales at your own pace, your own time. And when you're ready, interlace your fingertips at the base of your spine. Bend your knees again. Lift the heart. This time as you exhale, pour the hands over top of your head. Bend your right knee and turn and twist to the left. Press down through your feet a little bit more. Exhale, come back to center, switch sides, bend the left knee now, reach the arms over top of your head. Sprinkle some love into your breath. Sprinkle it out all over you. And exhale, release your hands down. Bend your knees and now take about 5 breaths to unfurl, slowly allowing your spine to re-find its center. Let your eyes be closed. You don't have to open them yet.
And bring your hands together in prayer. And one, just feel the connection to all those people on the call, past and future, present. Does love transcend all distances? Can we, even through technology, send the signal of kindness out? As I keep asking, are we just a brain and nervous system, or is there an energy that flows through us that we can transmit if we tune in? Send that beacon out from your heart. And then something I remembered I want to share just real quick before we finish about nature appreciation when Nancy didn't have time to get outside is you can do this anytime. If you really can't get outside in nature, I want to do an exercise with you of like portable nature appreciation. Just visualize in your mind's eye the last beautiful thing you saw in nature, the last sunset, the snow under your feet, cross-country skiing, the ice, the icicle on that frozen branch, the flower popping up in your garden, the moon pouring into your heart. Smell it, feel it, taste it. And make it part of you, like breathe it deep, deep, deep into your molecular structure. And I don't know who you thank. It's not up to me to tell you. You know, it could be God, it could be universe, it could just be nature, whatever. But please offer that thanks out for that beauty that's still inside of us all the time. We've been talking about food, but when you appreciate nature, that is food that becomes part of your consciousness. What do you mean?
Let's end with an Om. So exhale all breath out. Draw in your light and your fullness. Thanks for being here.
Namaste, everybody. Namaste. Like the pillow says, don't forget that when I was practicing. Like the pillow says, love more now. Love more now. Don't wait. Honestly, truly, don't wait. Just love as much as possible. It's interesting when you look at the Blissology project. Are we trying to make you just more thin, more beautiful? No, we're trying to make you more loving, and then you'll be more thin and more beautiful. You'll see. And lastly, I was thinking one more thing. We were talking about economics, about how people in lower socioeconomic classes have a hard time accessing food. But I'm thinking about even corporations. Like, that was just so good. We took probably a grand total of 6-7 minutes and just folded over and breathed. Imagine if you were at your next board meeting and you just took that time to fold over and breathe and reset. Like, wouldn't you be more productive, especially if you could have more high, and someone brought you a nice, in one of Insiya's recipes or something, a nice chia pudding about now, so you're really fueled for your day. So we got to get this Blissology stuff into our corporations, into our workplace too. I mean, like this Blissology stuff to bring yoga, meditation, nature appreciation, food awareness, and gratitude into the corporate world as well too. So everyone needs it. So we need it more than anything. Thank you, everybody. It's been amazing. I can't wait for the next Zoom call and see all your comments this week. Peace.